All right. Few quick updates. So during the last company retro, I don't know if you all watched it or not, but there was a goal in there for reducing review to merge time by a day, not from when the MR was committed to merge time, but in between review and merge time. It was mentioned that Sid would like to see that reduced by a day. And I don't know if there's an issue related to it, but just something to keep in mind. They're trying to get the overall merge time down. So that's a goal. I would expect to see an issue out there at some point in time. Other things to read up on, there's a new priority severity scheme. They're just, the numbers don't change, so it's still P and S 1 through 4, but there's some pairing that's going to be enforced in there, so you can't have a P1 and call it an S4, right? So just read up on the new rules that are out there. In the last engineering VP office hours, Eric once again encouraged everyone to nominate for discretionary bonuses. If you're working with someone that you think is doing great work and deserving of a discretionary bonus, anybody can nominate someone for it. So read up. He mentioned that we do have some graphs on how much is being spent on discretionary bonuses, and it's kind of peaks and valleys. Every time he reminds folks, it spikes back up and then it kind of drops off until they're reminded again. We have an overall company goal to spend 10% on everybody. So if you see someone doing great work, feel free to nominate them for a discretionary bonus. Any questions on that? Cool. All right. There was a request for contributing to Development Bootcamp video series. So if there's anything you want to contribute to or volunteer for, there's the issue. There's a new quad planning process, and this is to get quality involved earlier in the process. I think it's going to affect database a little bit less because we're not as involved in spinning up new features. And that's typically where, or that's the initial gap that was identified, is that quality wasn't getting involved in the planning process there. So, but something to keep in mind as we're going through breaking down issues and planning for milestones, make sure that we try to get them involved. I think, actually, I need to talk to Tanya to see who our counterpart from quality is here. Tanya is the enablement quality manager. So she would ideally assign folks to our team, and I will find out who that is. Let's see, the database sharding working group is going to start today. Pat, you are optional if you don't want to attend, but it should be pretty interesting and probably need your feedback in there from time to time. So if you can join, please do. We'll figure out, today is going to be the first one, so there's some level set of expectations that we need to figure out, because I know some of our stakeholders have been asking for sharding for a while, but we need to find out what they expect from that, what they're looking for, what they even understand what sharding or even partitioning is. So I think today will be a lot of discovery and just understanding what everybody is expecting out of this working group. So should be entertaining. And then security training. So Pat, you have to take this part of your onboarding issue. You're probably getting through it now. Andreas, have you already taken that one? It was a live session that was offered. It was spun up since I've been here, so it's been in the last 2 months, and I think everybody from engineering was invited, and the only requirement is that you've read through and the materials and even watched the videos. Actually, it's 2 days worth of videos if you didn't attend the live session. You might have been in infrastructure at the time, so maybe you didn't take it.
Yeah, I remember tuning into that. I haven't watched the full series though.
So you took it live? If you took it live, you don't need to watch the video.
Not fully. I watched a few parts of it.
Okay.
So what is the expectation? Sorry, to watch here.
So there's further conversation in this issue where they break down. I think someone broke down the sections of the video that are, there we go. So I would read down to this comment here.
Thanks.
And if you, so you said you attended some of it. If you've already covered these sections, then just let me know and we'll mark it off. Basically what I need to do is fill out this top row with my name, say who's taken it, and I think we're at about half capacity so far of folks that report to me.
Mm-hmm. I'll look into it later if that works.
There you go. That'll give you the breakdown of the back end requirements.
Thanks.
All right. That's it for updates. I'm gonna put the milestone in here too, so we don't have everything. All right, Andreas.
Yeah, so I'm currently mostly working on the or exploring the partitioning options. It is sort of coming out of the first issue that is in there, and I've also for the next milestone I've created another one, but I think I'm already working on that, so maybe I push that back into the current milestone. So that's about exploring issue search in context of partitioning. I've upgraded a production instance, or my database lab instance to Postgres 11, and now I'm playing around with that. And the goal is to just figure out what the next steps are, create issues for those, and see what we can learn from that instance.
Okay. And what's the marginalia feature? Sorry, not familiar with that.
Sure, no problem. This is a community contribution that included marginalia. That is a gem that you can use to annotate SQL queries with comments, and those comments include details for even tracing IDs and where the query was built in the code base.
That's right.
That got contributed, I think, 2 months back. I think it's really helpful for us to have that on GitLab.com. Since it was a community contribution, it slipped a bit off our radar to enable that. I think I forgot about it. I wanted to do it, but only got a reminder right now. But that's what I'm doing there. It's enabled in staging, and I ran into an issue where it's not fully working, so I still need to look into that before I can enable it on production.
Okay, thank you. I remember that issue now. All right, Pat.
Yeah, so the first one there is ready. I think I'm good there. The code is done. I'm just gonna probably put that for review today. The second one that was merged already. So I just wasn't sure when when things get moved out of the kind of doing, like when the issue gets moved from this state into the next.
Yep. Once it's validated on production is typically when we close it. So there's a workflow link I will send to you to help clarify.
Okay, I might have just missed that, yeah, but I wasn't sure what to do with the.
It's a lot of information, no worries.
And then the search, we kind of discussed this last week. I had a fix that I thought would at least alleviate some of the issues, but from some more testing last week, I think it's kind of it maybe speeds up in some instances, but makes it slower in others, depending. So I'm not really sure that's a fix that's worth. Basically, once the number of issues that you're searching gets above a certain threshold, then doing the optimization just really makes it slower. So then I think there's not really a straightforward solution to really either one of these kind of we hadn't talked about before.
Yeah. Probably just need to read your comments on there, but do you know what the threshold was for, you said it was after a certain number of issues as you're paging through it? Is that what it was?
Well, so so the fix that was suggested was to use the common table expression to kind of build the issues and then search through those, because it was using the wrong index and it was falling back and scanning the whole table looking for the text match.
Mm-hmm.
But once the number of issues reaches somewhere, maybe 10,000 issues, 20,000 issues, then it takes more time to build that, materialize that, and then scan through that than it does just to read the table using the index. So I don't have an exact number, but I just saw that depending on the exact project you're looking at, you're seeing different results one way versus the other. So I don't know that there's a clear cut. I mean, short of having some heuristic in the code that says, like, if it's less than this, do this. If it's more than this, do this. There isn't really a clear cut answer, I don't think.
How much worse does it get once you pass that threshold?
I mean, it was taking long enough, at least in the database lab, that it would be timing out in production. So I think it's at a point where it wouldn't really.
But so those original search issues are timing out in production now without the CTE improvement, right?
I mean, there's certainly quite a bit that seem to be timing out. Yeah, primarily when you're searching issues, either when it's a global search or when it's even specific to a group that has a large enough issues or a large enough number of issues. And those are the two most common scenarios that I saw where it's timing out.
Yeah.
But also sometimes, even in the context of a project, it's picking the wrong index, and then that's slowing down too, but there's not necessarily a way to speed that up because there's no way to really force it to use the right index, short of like hacking something, like wrapping it in a function call or something so it will not use that index, which is pretty hacky. So
I'm wondering if we have any data on usage patterns, right? So we know that if your fix would actually help more people than it hurts, right? If we get some kind of improvement. Do you have any thoughts on that, Andreas?
I don't know. I think we can be a bit smarter here with like suggesting maybe a particular execution plan and forcing that. But then on the other hand, it's really hard to get it right for all those cases. And ultimately, I think we're going to benefit a lot from partitioning to keep make the problem more manageable. And then we don't have to have this cleverness in the application to decide for one path or the other. It's just that the data that we're going to scan for a group search, for example, is going to be much less than it is today. So we're not hitting all the data anymore, but we're narrowing it down before we actually start planning that query. And usage patterns, I think this is very complicated to get right, or to target a particular usage pattern.
Yeah, for sure. But I'm just wondering, I mean, partitioning we're still months away from being able to roll that out on .com. So if we can't come up with some kind of relief through usage patterns, is there, I don't know, maybe there's something else we can improve elsewhere. I'm just trying to figure out where we can get some relief on .com for some of these timeouts or some of these at least perceived performance degradations from the user's perspective on search in particular.
I think the risk from any of those changes is really that you make it, like Patrick already explained, you make it better in some cases and maybe worse in other cases. So, and this is really hard to analyze upfront. Yeah.
Was it always just the number of rows being returned? So Patrick, you mentioned like around 10,000. So I don't imagine anything other than bots would be going that many pages deep. That's why I was asking about usage patterns.
Oh, well, so that's the 10,000 is more so kind of once you apply this optimization to filter the issues, then it can't really rely on the index to pull like the first page essentially. So it has to build the entire set and then, sort and pull the first 100 or whatever. So if there's more than say 10,000 issues in a particular group that they're searching under, until it materializes all that and finds the ones that it's looking for, that takes enough time that it would still be timing out.
Oh, okay. I think I understand. All right. So should we just shelf this for now and then find something else to work on? Andreas, is that what you're recommending?
I would think that the time is well spent on partitioning for those type of issues.
Okay.
Even though it's not a lot of short-term fix.
Yeah.
But this is really going to help.
All right. I would just recommend then, Pat, updating the issues and with the details of what you found, and just saying, this may solve a problem, but it could introduce many other problems. And then we'll find something else to prioritize for 12.8 for you to work on. So Josh asked me, and I will look through our 12.8 issues today, but does anybody have any release post items that they think would be noteworthy for 12.8? Let's pull it up now since we're talking about it. The ones that are shipped for the moment. So this tiebreaker sort direction, is that any kind of performance improvement, or does it just fix some known issues?
Yeah, it removes an overhead that we didn't need. It's a behavioral change, but it's very you have to look very closely to detect that.
Okay.
I don't think it's a release post.
It's not noteworthy. Okay. Anything that's in flight that might be noteworthy?
The release post is something that has to be user visible somehow, right?
Yes, but then there's also a section for performance improvements where we just list out the either the issues or the merge requests, and we literally just link to that. So you should see some performance improvements. Like the memory team will probably link out some of the import performance improvements that we've done. So I when I did a first pass through our issues, nothing stood out. I mean, we're doing some good work. It's just not something that users would go, oh my God, this is so much better. So, all right. Just wanted to check. Thank you. That's it, unless there's anything anybody else wants to talk about. Cool. All right. Well, I will probably see y'all in the Sharding working group then.
Yep, sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.